You know, I was thinking how I'm going to do this video. And I was going to do it like I normally do, break down what's going on. But I thought this time, because we got 4 days before Destiny, let's do this differently. This isn't going to be a very long video, I don't believe. I'm hoping to be under 10 minutes. I'll talk about the bits that I thought were interesting. But let's make this clear. The one thing I'm going to talk about is the controversy that we've had in the last couple of weeks. Let's clear this out of the air right now. Is AEW in trouble or not? This is what's going to be talked about after I say the stuff I was interested in. First, what are we really getting between Mercedes Moné, Julia Hart, and Willow Nightingale? Now, I didn't say anything about what happened last week. It actually slipped my mind about the attack from Mercedes Moné. I'm sure you probably realized that if I didn't say anything, normally I would talk about I'm holding something back, or I would forget. This time I did forget. Haven't been forgetting lately. I hope you've been all right with that. But seeing her promo saying whoever attacked me, they're going to get it. Then you don't know if it was Julia Hart. You don't know if it's Willow Nightingale. You don't know if it's a possible Chris Statlander or a Saraya. I'm putting 4 women. Four women. We got Chris Statlander, which I really think is the most remote. Julia makes the most sense because that's the way they've been booking lately. They've been more straightforward, at least what little they have been changing in the women's division. It looks like it could be Julia easily. Then it looks like it could easily be a Nightingale. Let's make it clear. Willow would make the most sense after what she did with the chair. Weeks upon weeks ago. But the last person I'm thinking about that we have not seen in a long, long time that would make the most sense who would attack a Mercedes Moné would be Saraya. I know that's very, very, very remote, even more than Statlander. But I feel if they're going to try something different, if Mercedes Moné gets screwed over again or attacked, there's only one person who makes sense if it's not Willow Nightingale or Julia Hart. It would be Saraya. Because Saraya, her last match was with Sasha Banks. She got nailed in the back with Sasha, and her arms went like this, and she was done wrestling. Now, if they were going to do a little bit of real life, that would make really make the best sense. I'm just saying. Now, the match we got between Elite, I want to make this very clear. Is Okada important? Yes. Does he feel important? Yes. Is he more important than Garcia, Penta, or Pac? Pac? No. Garcia and Penta? Yes. And those two just feel like they were thrown in. And the only important thing in that match was Pac and Okada. Let's make it clear. That's all that mattered. Now, I know you're going to say, well, what about the Bucks? Yes, they're having the FTR bit, but really the story for them is not that good because they included CM Punk in it. I'm telling you right now, as I said in my Gump report, when you look at what happened with the Bucks, when it comes to... it was a big mistake to release the footage. It was a big mistake for Tony to do this. It was a big mistake for the Bucks to do it. And then it was even a bigger mistake to try and turn it into a storyline, even though it is the wisest thing you could do. If you think I'm wrong, explain why. Because when you look at the situation, they were already screwed up because of what happened with CM Punk. Which I'm not telling you he's wrong. But he didn't need to say much. He did it on purpose. Now, is that getting back at the Bucks? Getting back at Tony? Yeah, that's CM Punk's style. And I know that when it comes to JD and Alex, the way they're talking, tell me when I'm telling lies, it's not the point here. We're talking about what's going on in wrestling. Not about telling you if I'm telling lies. We already know that AEW has a major issue. But Punk didn't need to bring it out. He didn't. He chose to bring it out. He didn't need to say a damn word. He didn't need to. He just did it because he was just who he is and he likes to just rattle cages anyway. It doesn't mean he's wrong about it, but he didn't need to do it. And then the reaction from the Bucks from Tony was the worst out of all of it. They should never release the footage. And then worse, because they wanted to release the footage to try and put a light on them more better than what Punk is doing, they realized it got screwed up. And they knew that it was probably going to be screwed up. And they tried to turn it into a story like when it came to Adam Copeland, when it came to Lita, and definitely when it came to Matt Hardy. That is the reason they did it. And it was a big mistake. So when you look at the Bucks and you look at, I know Garcia was put into that ladder and he was stopped, and you know what I mean. It still feels like, why do you care about the Bucks? Why do you care about FTR? There is no CM Punk. That's the reason why I wish they had not released the footage. It's not about if Tony's a bad boss. He already is. We know this. It's not about the Bucks being idiots. We know they are. Flat out, both of them are wrong. But CM Punk didn't need to add to it. It wasn't necessary. They already had it. That was just rubbing it in. Doesn't mean it wasn't true. It's just he rubbed it in on purpose. And if JD's saying they deserve what they get, they're not wrong. But Punk did it on purpose. He did. I'm just saying. Moving on. Let me give you this. I am happy, but I'm worried. Bang Bang Gang versus the Acclaimed. Whoever wins gets both titles. Finally, they're going to do something with these titles, but does that mean they're going to unify them? I want those titles unified. We cannot have so many damn titles wandering around in AEW. It is stupid. You got the AEW titles, and then you got the ROH titles. You don't need them both. You're already bringing in, look, Moxley has just got the New Japan Pro Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. I'll get to that in a minute. He's a champion from them now. You already have enough where the New Japan Pro Strong title, I don't know if it's been given back to New Japan Pro Strong, but they had that there. You had too many titles wandering around. You need to consolidate them. Focus on what's important. And if you're not going to leave the New Japan Pro Wrestling title with New Japan Pro Wrestling, it's going to be on the main title, you must take the ROH stuff away. Make them stay on their own show. They're never shown on Collision or Dynamite or Rampage again. It is just exclusive to ROH. You don't show them again. But there's the problem. The ROH 6-man tag are still being shown. And my worry is that they're going to keep these titles separated instead of making them unified AEW championships that can go from ROH to Rampage to Collision, then to Dynamite. They need to consolidate them. And I don't believe they will. Moving on. What did I think about the women's match? Deonna Purrazzo versus, well, Mariah May's a fine wrestler. Not a problem. Match was fine. But I gotta say this. What are we really getting here? Is this a fight between Thunder Rosa and Tace's Toni Storm? Or is it a fight between Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa? Because it's beginning to become an issue that all three of these women they're kind of blurring the lines a little too much. Yes, we do need it, but it feels like Deonna's going to go after Thunder Rosa more than she's going to go after a Toni Storm. It just feels like that. That's the way they booked it. Now, that's actually a bit of a difference than what they normally do, but it does make the blurring of the lines very difficult to get really invested. Now, people are going to say, dude, you're wrong. Deonna Purrazzo is still going after Toni Storm. It's obvious. Yeah. But look how much they're trying to bring the controversy between Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo. It is becoming a bit dominant. It's becoming more dominant than Toni Storm is. Yes, she got makeup all over her face and she freaked out. But after seeing that Luther got his head taken off his shoulders by Thunder Rosa, and it should be about Thunder Rosa, because look what happened when you saw the beginning of the show when Willow Nightingale was taken out. And at the end of the show, you saw Mercedes Moné come out with a chair to try and help. you could see Adam Copeland was not involved in anything. Not saying that he's supposed to be involved, but he was outside. He stayed out of the way. I would have liked to see a Deanna Purrazzo just disappear or stay out of the way until Thunder Rosa walked away, or at least Toni Storm walked away and she stares her down. Instead of getting in the face of Thunder Rosa, I believe that was a mistake, because it does feel like it's a cluster to me personally. It doesn't mean it's a bad cluster, but to me it is a cluster. It blurs the lines a little bit too much, wondering who's going after who. And I do believe that's what they're going for. But at this point, I do believe that they should have done this weeks ahead of time. But since they just got the new writing team in with Peppermint and another person from WWE who's been known to be good for the roster and good for talent, it's still very new. That's just me. Orange Cassidy by himself by Shane Taylor. Since Orange is still dealing with Trent, who finally they pulled the trigger on, because it's more than a year and a half that it looked like they should have pulled the trigger on Trent Beretta when he came back after his neck fusion, and they kept teasing it and teasing it and teasing it and teasing it, and they finally decided to pull the trigger on it. I don't know why they took so long. I don't know what took them so long to finally do this, but it's great to see it, particularly at the end of that match when you see Trent preventing. It was who was it? Christopher Daniels. I don't remember who the other person was who ran out with him, but they got nailed because of Trent, and that was good to see. But they better make this mean something for Trent. This can't just be. I'm so worried that Trent Beretta will not get over, because they're going to make sure that Orange Cassidy in the end is going to be adversity overall. It cannot be that way. Trent has to win and put down Orange Cassidy, and then he can move on to be a good heel. If he does not put down an Orange, this is wrong. Hook. I did not get a chance to see the push of Taz. This is the reason why this video is a bit late, because I had to look for a replay because I had to go to the bathroom, came back and already saw that Taz was on the floor. I didn't know how he got there. Did he get punched in the face? Did he get shoved? I didn't know. So I had to wait until after Dynamite was done and wait a couple of minutes before the alternatives to seeing Dynamite had at least a replay of it, which I did see it. And when you hear that Excalibur says that Taz has a leg or knee issue because once you see Chris shove him, I'm like, okay, this kind of makes sense from what the rumors have been. Because if you haven't heard yet, there are rumors about what's going on with Hook, because it is obvious that there's a possibility that Hook will leave AEW and go to WWE. I don't know if that means his contract is nearly up. I don't know. I have no clue. But them talking about it, there's a good possibility that his contract is nearing its end. People probably in AEW probably warned WWE because there's spies in both. Let's make it clear. AEW has a spy in WWE. Someone they know that can find a little bit of information out. And WWE has someone that's in AEW that's basically like a spy that will tell them a little nitbit and little bits before the reporters know. Because remember, the reporters get it from the wrestlers. When do the wrestlers get it? From each other and from upper management that eventually gets to either the wrestlers who already talk amongst themselves to a certain extent, and then anyone who's from the other camp does get a little piece of information. Not a lot, but a little. It doesn't mean they can act on it. It just means they know. So the question about Hook, where he may go to WWE eventually, or at least the teasing of his contract maybe coming up soon, that's a possibility. So seeing this, that they're pushing Hook the way they are, and they added Taz in this situation, was the wisest thing to do. Now, seeing Taz, understand, look, I still love me Taz. Taz is a cool guy. But knowing he just can't go in the ring anymore, and he only is relegated to reporting and doing commentary, I've never been a problem with it. But seeing that he actually was willing to take a bump to a certain extent, getting shoved to the floor, even though his knee might have gave out, getting shoved, that is something Taz does not do anymore. Guys, Taz does not do that anymore. His neck is done. He could easily go paralyzed if he's not careful. That's the reason why he doesn't play around in the ring anymore. This is a very rare situation where Taz was willing to take somewhat of a bump. Take somewhat of a push to hit the floor. He did that. I commend Taz doing that for his son because he wants his son's story to mean something. But here's the thing. If he doesn't go away from the FTW title and start moving on to the TNT or international title soon, what his father just did means nothing. I'm saying it right now. Him being stuck with the FTW title is limiting him. And he needs to move on to the next style of title, which would be either international title or really the TNT title eventually when Adam Copeland drops it. Because ROH is below. Let's make it clear. FTW and then ROH. FTW and then AEW. That's what they've been doing. That's what they've been doing. They just haven't made it more pronounced when it comes to the FTW title because they never really did much with Hook, but now they are. And that's what it feels like to me. What else can I talk about here? Claudio versus Will Ospreay. I don't need to explain anything because that was the best match of the night. Doesn't mean any other matches are good. It was not only the great work in the ring between Claudio as well as Will, it was the ending of that match because of how it went with everyone getting their butts kicked and Will getting pissed off because he's saying, I don't want to be involved in any of this because I want to be free of any controversy when I deal with Bryan Danielson. I don't want none of this. And he's right. But in the end, we are going to see Will break away from the Don Callis family eventually. It's coming. Who is going to beat down on Will Ospreay first? Will it be Fletcher or will it be Powerhouse Hobbs? I know that Kateska would be first, but it's going to be either Powerhouse Hobbs or it's going to be Fletcher. I do believe one of them will be first before Kateska, but you never know. Final thing to close will be the closing of the show, which was very well done. When we got Samoa Joe and we got the Swerve Strickland. Both interviews were fine, but I gotta tell you this. Seeing Swerve do a stomp on everybody when he jumped in the air, I'm sure everyone's gonna go ape shit over that move, and it was a good move. But the thing that I felt was more important was how he responded after the move and when Samoa Joe whooped that ass, because that's what happened. Him getting destroyed was the most important thing. How the crowd was going to deal with him reaching a point where he looks like he's going to get somewhere, but Samoa Joe not cheating, not having a poke an eye, just whooped his ass. That is how the response was going to be. And it was actually a positive response from, I think, Minneapolis. I think that's where they were. It was a good response. And I was glad about that. The talk before that was good from Swerve. I was fine with that. So the closing of the show was good. But here's the thing. What do we really get from AEW after the controversy in the last couple of weeks? We got a good show. But I don't know if Dynasty is going to be a great show. There's a lot going on. And I'm worried. I'm telling the truth, I'm worried. Like I was worried for WrestleMania, I am worried for Destiny. Doesn't mean it won't be a good show, there won't be great wrestling, but will it be great storytelling? I don't know. I don't know. They really need to focus on making sure they can do the stories correctly. And as I've been saying, act. They cannot react to like TNA or MLW or New Japan Pro Wrestling or WWE. They cannot react to them anymore. They must just act. They must act on what they got in front of them and go forward and forget what is being stated. Because the more they speak, because look what happened with Moxley. That was another try at trying to get people to see that AEW is more important than people think it is. He made it about himself at first, but in the end, let's make this clear. This was still about trying to make AEW look good after CM Punk. And it's not something you need to do anymore. Stop it. act. Make sure you're focusing on your show. Don't try and say we need to do what's necessary to make AEW great or we are great. No. Show us with your stories, how you treat your wrestlers, and how you don't use social media to get back at the other companies. Just do it. Peace.